Okay, well, good morning on this lovely Saturday morning, August 4th. My name is Gus Sanchez,
And I'm Ed Sanchez.
and welcome to the Generation Gap podcast. God, I don't even know the name of our own podcast.
It's been 2 weeks, dude.
Yep, it has, and we apologize for taking kind of the larger break of a while, but we've just been, father-son busy, and but
It's called super busy.
Yeah, super busy. But we're back, and we have kind of a fun episode today. Wouldn't you agree, Dad?
I think so. I think it'll be fun to do a little comparing. I mean, at the end of the day, each day that we have discussions, there's a noted difference between your thoughts and mine. And well, I guess we'll just say that I started the world in 1955, and you started the world when?
2001?
Sorry, I forget your birth date and year.
Yeah, it's okay. I don't even know my own birthday. It's okay. But yeah, so on today's episode of the Generation Gap podcast, something that we've kind of established a lot is that the fact that there's a 45, 46-year difference, right?
That's
yeah,
correct.
46-year difference between both of us. And so that's where a lot of our differing opinions comes from, is the fact that for me, I've experienced not a ton of the world, whereas my father has experienced a lot of it, and that's simply due to the fact that we're, young and old. And so I'm the
you're
old.
17 and I'm ready for Social Security. That is, if your generation can afford to keep it up.
Oh yeah, we'll see. So on today's topic for the Generation Gap podcast, we're gonna just as a little fun kind of understanding, after hitting things such as religion and gun violence and control, we thought that it would be fun to kind of hit it off with something a little, I guess, some insight into both of our lives from your guys' perspective as well as our perspective, and kind of get an understanding of where we are in the world. So the goal of today is mainly we're talking about how life was for, I guess, primarily, I don't know about you, but I guess the world, for what the world was like when I was born in 2001, as well as what the world was like in 1955, which is when you were born.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right, Gus. So I guess maybe I'll kick it off with a line item and note that, one of the things that we always talk about at our house is politics and politicians.
Right.
And frankly, when I was born, there was a great president in place, had been there a couple of years, and was the president all the way until 1960.
Right.
So who would you speculate that was?
I wonder who would be interesting enough for me to kind of give a shit in my AP US history class. Would it be a man named Eisenhower?
Ike, you got it.
Damn.
From the greatest generation, Gus.
Oh my God. Sure.
Yeah, and so, as a comparison, who was the president when you were born, Gus?
I spoke too soon about shitty presidents. I had the good old George W. Bush.
I love George W. Bush, but he's no Eisenhower.
No, he's not a really president. Yeah, I mean that's kind of a good place to start. Is we came from very different political areas, and it's funny. I think I know more about political tensions in the 50s than you do.
Oh, here we go. Well, I was 5 years old when the political tensions were happening in the 50s. At the very latest, I was 5, and at the end of the day as well, I didn't really pay attention very well in school.
Yeah.
So
No, that's fair. That's fair. I guess I just have too much time on my hands to be like, oh, communism.
I was probably working.
That's a 5-year-old in the fields. Oh man. But yeah, so Dad, why don't you tell us a little bit more about what life was like in 1955, and then I'll jump in about mine later on.
I wrote down some stats.
Okay.
But a couple of things to keep in mind. Not necessarily in 1955, but in the early 60s.
Okay.
Okay. I straying away from these stats, and I'll come back to them in a while.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, in the early 60s, it wasn't uncommon for me to take my .22 rifle, back to guns, by the way.
Oh my God, Jesus!
Get my
Christ.
.22 rifle, a box or two of shells, and like a sack lunch, and head off into the prairie. And I don't think anybody was too interested in where I was going. And ultimately, I wasn't out there. Well, maybe I was doing a few things I shouldn't have been doing, but you know, I wasn't doing any mass shootings. That much I can tell you, Gus.
Thank God.
And so,
Jesus.
you know, what a great time to be a kid. I'd wander all over. If I wasn't on foot, I was on my bicycle, and you know, then I was, I don't know, maybe 11 years old when I got a mini bike, which is a small motorcycle, if you would, and I rode that thing. Forget riding it out in the prairies. I rode that thing all over town, and so had a lot of freedom. And you know what? My parents, I feel, were great parents.
Yeah.
And for the time, it was just different.
Yeah.
When you leave the house or when you go to the restroom, it's like, where are you going, Gus?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay. Do you have the GPS on? Whereas when I was a kid, it was like, be home before dark.
Yeah.
You know, even if it was 7 o'clock in the morning when you were leaving. So, interesting time to grow up as a child. Did have a lot of freedom.
Yeah.
Which ultimately meant I had a lot of fun. Mm-hmm. And I did a lot of stupid things that I'm lucky I never got severely hurt or maimed or anything else like that, Gus.
Yeah.
So that's to me is a big difference in watching my own children grow up. I remember when we moved to a city. Okay. And it was one of our first cities. We'd moved to Colorado Springs.
Okay.
And at the time, I don't know, maybe a couple 100,000, 300,000 people, and it's like we'd watch our kids like a hawk.
Yeah.
And then even more so, I mean, you grew up in a pretty safe environment. Part of it was where you were born. Well, it was damn safe because there was no people in Wyoming.
Right, yeah. It's like, wait a minute, hold on.
And then later in northern Arizona, pretty safe environment, but you also grew up like, you know,
in the suburbs.
We had to watch you, keep an eye on you, make sure you're okay. And it's like, I like, once again, I don't think I had bad parents, but in the same sense, I don't think anybody was like too worried about what I was doing.
Yeah, I get you.
What's your thought on that?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's completely legitimate, you know? I mean, for me, I wouldn't say you guys put a lot of, you know, watching over constantly. You know, I mean, for relatively, I have a lot more freedom than I would say most people my own age.
Well, I'll agree.
Yeah, but
I'll agree.
Just speaking from, I guess, kind of the, you know, generation perspective, it's, you know, people or kids my own age, it's like that's what the norm is for a lot of them, is that you need to know where they're going. You know, you need to know when they'll be back. You know, it's like,
well, sure.
You know, 3 or 4 years ago, if I told you guys, hey, I wanted to go out and see a movie, like you guys would ask me how long the movie was, how long the credits were, what time the movie would get done. Like I hadn't even seen the movie yet, and you guys would think I would know when it would get done. It's like, no, you know.
Understood.
And that's just based merely on the fact that, you know, it's the day. I mean, we're still kind of in the day of milk carton kids. You know, it's like...
That's exactly what drives it, I think, Gus.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And it's like, truth be told, like, I mean, you really couldn't do much with the child in the 60s. You know, it's like, if you kidnapped him, it's like, oh, great.
We already have kids. What do we want another one for?
I know. Being a baby boomer, it's like, oh, shit, well, we can just feed the other 7 kids we have, you know, not have to worry about an 8th one. That's a joke also. But, you know, it's just like, that's where a lot of that comes from, is it's the... I don't know. It's, I guess, it's people finding the necessary need to shield children and, you know, kind of watch over them as what they do.
It's incredible. I'll give you another example. So this one was pretty intense training.
Yeah.
But I go out and I buy your two youngest sisters new dirt bikes.
Okay.
And they're probably, I don't know, maybe one's in grade school and one's in middle school. And we go to the motorcycle shop, and before we can leave the motorcycle shop with those new dirt bikes, they have to go through a safety orientation.
Oh.
Okay.
Okay.
And so Gus, that's what takes place. And I think back to when I was a kid and I got my first dirt bike. Here was my safety orientation. Have fun, don't get hurt, and don't use the lawnmower gas. Okay? There's a bit of a difference.
Yeah, a little bit.
And so that's one of my favorites when I think back to those days, Gus. So, yeah, I always think back to this one too. Can I pick at you a little?
Sure, go for it.
Okay, so you're a little kid.
All right.
You're probably, I don't know, 5 years old. We used to have that big pickup we called the Big Bitch.
Yeah.
And you're sitting in the back seat, and we're going to go to martial arts practice. And I say, hey, Gus, you want to come sit up front? And he said, no, that's dangerous. The airbag could kill me.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking, what? I'm thinking when I was a kid, kids didn't get to ride in the pickup. They got to ride in the bed of the pickup. So, welcome to the West and how the West has changed.
Oh, yeah, by all means.
Your thoughts?
Yeah, no, I agree with that, and it's like, there's some things I want to hit on later on too, but it's like, that's definitely one of them is the concern for safety. It's the concern about, being able to, I've always thought, safety is kind of it's a way of trying to make yourself more comfortable, more so than, I guess more safe in my opinion. That's what I've always thought about in terms of safety is like, it's making you feel more comfortable by being secure. And, I think in those growing times of like, warning signs on the car that say don't put a child under 10 in the front seat, it's like those are those concerns, and that's the idea of safety is that it's trying to be secure, but it's also just trying to make you more comfortable. It's like, truth be told, like if you really didn't pay attention to the sign in the front that said don't put a baby in the front seat, well, not a baby, I don't know. That might be, I'm
child.
Like, yeah, how about that? Like a small child. If you put a small child in the front seat and it's like you didn't read the label or anything, it's like, who gives a shit? It's like you didn't read it. Who cares? Like if the kid's fine, the kid's fine.
Sure.
It's the fact that something is in your face telling you, hey, be safe or do this so you can be safe. Then that's when that overgrowing fear comes from.
Oh, I'd say.
And truly imagine. Like, and it's like speaking on behalf of like, during your era, there weren't a lot of things where it's like, don't do this or don't do that. As long as you weren't playing with like, I don't know, nuclear weapons, like you really didn't have to worry about much,
We were dopes.
Yeah.
I mean, and you went home bloody and cut up and if you managed to get a cast out of the deal, you're like the hero of the neighborhood for a week or two,
Yeah.
So definitely a lot different. And I won't say that. Are you a millennial to start out with?
No. I'm a Gen Z.
Oh, Gen Z.
Yeah.
I won't say Gen Z tends to be soft, but it can grow into that, if you would, Gus.
Yeah, I can understand that. So I guess something I want to hit on right off the bat, and I, maybe you have kind of a comment on it. It's just this for me. It's like it's what I look back on the most, but even being a history nerd, I can't really define something specific that would, I guess, kind of hit you for later 50s. Something that happened, the same year that I was born was, the September 11th attacks.
Tragic.
Yeah.
Understood.
And, for me, it's like, I think my thing is that, I was at that point, I would have been about 7 months old, or 7 or 6 months, somewhere around there.
Sure.
And, truth be told, you don't remember shit when you're 6 or 7 months old,
Understood.
And so I guess for me personally, it's, by all means, the September 11th attacks were very tragic. But I guess, being literally 6 months old, it's you can't really feel the magnitude of something like that. Do you have anything in your, I guess, later years of that you would say kind of the same thing? Because Korea ended at about 53. So it wouldn't have been
I'm
Korea.
not sure of, Gus. I mean, there's several things that I'd put down here that kicked off in 1955. Some great American legacies that started in 55. And I'm looking at the list here, and the first McDonald's was opened.
Oh.
I think they even served real food back then, too.
Probably, actually.
I
tried to watch the movie, and, I got fucking bored of it, so maybe I don't really know much about that. So why don't you fill us in on that?
Well, I wish I had something to fill you in on other than the fact that can you think of an American corporation that's been around for 62 years that maybe even continues to expand today internationally?
I really can't, to be honest. I mean, other than something like McDonald's.
And it's what's incredible is, 60 years into the thing, they say, now we're going to start making our chicken nuggets with real chicken.
Yeah, it's what the fuck?
Exactly. It's like, we're going to give you another one that opened up in 1955, Gus.
Okay.
How about Disneyland?
Oh,
1955.
I didn't know that.
Yep.
Wow.
That's pretty incredible, man. The Mickey Mouse Club started in 1955. I don't think the Mickey Mouse Club's still around. Could be. I've never been a Disney fan.
Me neither. I know Newsies, which, one of these days, I could be an 1899 paper boy rising up to beat Pulitzer.
Yeah, why not? Uh-huh.
One day.
Okay, so I'm going to toss one at you that I found very interesting.
Okay.
There was a U.S. military invention into a country that we still have problems with today.
Afghanistan.
Iran.
Oh, Iran. Oh, shit.
Yep. 1955.
Oh, fuck. I don't know why I thought. Damn it. Oh, man. I'm focusing on two different things, and I'm a little slow, I guess.
That Gus is actually being a producer, and I'm thinking he must have a special friend on text message. And
shut up.
See, when I was a kid, I lacked focus because I was ADHD, most likely. Okay?
Okay, sure, yeah. Want to talk about how you used to just run away from school and just go into the prairie?
I wasn't multitasking.
Yeah, I know. You chose your task wrong.
Always. Okay, so here's another one for you.
Okay.
We think about modern weapons, modern warfare, etc. And how about the first nuclear sub was put into the water?
Wow, okay, yeah.
That's kind of
I remember that, yeah.
I would have thought that would have been, substantially later than that, but not.
Yeah.
Right? What else did I find kind of interesting? Here's another one I found interesting, and we looked this up later or earlier today.
Yeah.
Excuse me. And that was back in 1955. 7 out of 10 American families had a car.
Really?
Yeah. And now, what did we see? It's
like one car for every person.
For every person.
And if it was a 4-person household, you had 3 cars.
Yeah. And you wonder why the energy business is so good? Woohoo!
Yeah, so good that my stocks have gone up $1
Don't go there.
$1.
Go.
This is something I found interesting for 2001. I'm not a science person a whole lot. I think that's also because my brain cannot physically understand science a whole lot. I mean, so be it. Ooh, oh well. In 2001, the human genome sequence was revealed to the world.
That's great.
Yeah, it was revealed on February 12th from scientists from China, Japan, Germany, France, Britain, and the United States, and basically proved that the human genome contained some to 30 to 40,000 genes consisting of, it says, 3.2 billion alkali. Ever wonder why I got a C in chemistry? Wait, that's... don't take my word for science. But yeah, so I thought that was pretty cool.
That's really exciting.
Yeah,
I'm being sarcastic, of course.
Oh, yes. I am too, because I could give less than a shit.
How about this one? How about... Would you be able to speculate... No, would you be able to guess how much a gallon of gasoline cost in 1955?
It's got to be in the cents, right?
Come on, give me a number, man.
40 cents.
23 cents.
Wow.
I was a driver the first time I seen $1 gas. Gallon gas. I was in Vail, Colorado. It was $1 in Vail.
Man, did you write in the street? Did you drove your car into the gas station?
No.
Damn.
No, I
that would have been a
somewhere
funny
else
story.
to get gas. What, I look stupid? Wait, don't answer that.
I guess so. A lot of the things I have in terms of 2001 are films and whatnot, but something or entertainment and whatnot. And I have some things. Well, I wanted to bring up one thing while I'm also looking for 1955 and whatnot.
I'll take care of 1955.
Okay. Oh yeah. Sorry, I'm doing your job. This is something that I learned in history, and I didn't know this until I was looking at it today, and I audibly went, "Are you kidding me?" So, it says in 2001, back in it was December 13th of 2001, President George W. Bush announced that he was going to withdraw from the 1972 Anti-Ballistic Missile Treaty, which was kind of a very important thing in terms of our relationship with, the Soviet Union and whatnot.
Gotcha.
It wasn't on basis of what Gorbachev and Reagan passed, but it was more of it was a way to settle tensions after such a high extension of the 50s and 60s, which ultimately were a very, I'd say, kind of terms of Soviet Union and U.S. relations, was very scary, in terms of just waiting to push the button, And I mean, now we got a funny ass movie about the death of Stalin in 1953, but at that point it was a very real thing, and that's where that treaty came from. And now that I know that in 2001 we withdrew from that, I was kind of like, oh, are you... I mean, granted, the Soviet Union is not together by any means, but it's who was still president back in 2001 of Russia?
Was it Gorby?
No, Gorby.
Who?
Vladimir Putin.
No.
Yep.
No.
Vladimir Putin in 2001.
2001?
Yep, he basically, after the announcement of withdrawing from the treaty, Vladimir Putin is quoted as saying that it was Bush's worst mistake.
Really?
Yep.
Okay.
And, I'm kind of on par with him.
I got you.
Yeah, but that was just something, because, that's something that, I don't know how you feel about it, but for me, anybody who knows me personally, I've always joked about, learning about communism and I guess eras of the Soviet Union and just overall tensions of the 50s and 60s, in terms of U.S. and Soviet Union relations. And it's very interesting that, I mean, you grew up at that point. You grew up with, the atomic bomb drills and like the real
Cold War.
Yeah, the Cold War. And for me, it's like it's only textbook learning. I ultimately don't have any experience with that other than, I guess, Call of Duty 2, you can play as a Soviet Union soldier. But
that's awesome.
That's I really, truth be told, I didn't experience it. It's all textbook learning for me. But for you, it's like that's a real world thing. Granted, you were like 10, but
you know what though, growing up in that era, and our parents being who our parents were, and post World War II, we grew up to hate the commies,
right?
And we weren't afraid of them. We grew up not being afraid of what the communists did. Even though, as noted in a previous podcast, we'd go through the drills of an atomic bomb's coming.
Yeah.
Get under your desk.
Right, yeah. Kiss your ass goodbye.
Exactly. So, but there was no fear associated with it at all.
That's crazy. Because, for me, it's like that's all I would have imagined, But that's, like I said, just reading about it, But, so something, just a couple things, I guess. You don't really have to jump in, Dad, because I don't imagine you're very intelligent in this field.
There we go.
Not insulting you. I'm just saying, I guess something for...
When I was a boy, we was out there, me and Cletus, riding our horses.
Oh my God. I just mean that, there's these things for me, most
That's
people
your
know
interest.
me. Yeah, I'm a theater person. Everybody knows that. In 2001, we were granted with some really great Broadway, I guess just overall musicals. The Producers, I figured I'd start with that one. Mel Brooks's
Not bad.
Broadway take on his old 1962 film.
Okay.
It went on to win, I believe, I want to say about 11 Tony Awards. That might be wrong, 11 or 12. It's the musical that holds the most amount of Tony Awards. I know that, which is pretty incredible for one. But it's also about two Jews making fun of Nazis, I guess. So.
Well, sure.
Yeah, so of course it's going to get all the awards. But so we got stuff like that. We got the Spanish version of a musical of Romeo and Juliet, which is Romeo et Julieta, which is, I just butchered the hell out of that, but oh well.
Way to go, dude.
I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it's still one of the most famous adaptations of Romeo and Juliet, which is cool.
Okay. How about 1955?
1955. Peter Pan.
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
Huh?
Yeah. There you go.
Mary Martin, Peter Pan.
There you go.
Tony Award winner.
Nice.
Yeah. I hated Peter Pan when I was a kid.
God, I still hate Peter Pan. God, it doesn't interest me at all.
Okay, let me hit you with some entertainment hits.
Okay.
1955, Elvis Presley's on the stage.
Oh.
Oh, yeah.
Well, yeah, I know Elvis Presley. I don't know
Come
why I
on,
went,
everybody knows Elvis Presley. Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Your commie friends probably know Elvis Presley.
Probably. I mean, have you ever read about how Joseph Stalin used to watch old John Wayne movies with his cabinet?
I have that on my nightstand. I haven't read it yet, but...
What?
No, I haven't read that, but go ahead.
Oh, yeah.
You watched old John Wayne movies?
Yeah, old, Western movies. He used to have his whole cabinet, after, long meetings until, 1 o'clock in the morning. He used to sit with his cabinet members and watch John Wayne movies. And they were always... Yeah, they were always terrified of not doing it because it was 1 in the morning, but it was like, oh, my God, this guy could kill me in the morning. So they would watch he loved John Wayne movies.
The best part about a John Wayne movie is I always found it pretty interesting during that era when they'd go out in the high plains, the desert, or Gallup, New Mexico, by the way.
Yeah.
And they'd have this big shoot 'em up, and they'd kill a bunch of these people of a different color.
Yeah.
And then they'd just leave them laying there, and they'd ride back into town for drinks.
Yeah, which is awful.
How awesome is that?
Oh, my God. That's awful.
1955, another fact.
Okay.
Gunsmoke comes on TV.
Oh,
Gunsmoke was a great show. I don't know how long that show was on for, Gus.
Yeah. On the topic of music, Janet Jackson, she released "All For You" in 2001, which I don't know if you're familiar with that at all, but that's pretty good. It's a pretty good song.
I've seen Janet Jackson like sitting on some people one day. That's all I know.
Was that Bruno or?
It was I don't remember what show it was, but it was Sacha Baron Cohen.
Yes. Yeah. I just couldn't remember if that was. Oh my god.
Go ahead. Give me somebody else that came out famous in 2001.
Hero by Enrique Iglesias came out. I know you probably don't know. Here's one you probably should know. I can't see you or anybody else not knowing it. Is Harder, Better, Faster, Stronger by Daft Punk came out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I lived in Wyoming at that time, dude.
Yeah, no, I know. So you got this like, I don't know, 4 years later.
This one came out like in 2005.
Oh my god. Yeah. So I guess that's music wise.
How about movies?
All right, yeah, let's do movies.
How about On the Waterfront with the great. Come on, mister.
Ooh.
You're probably not very intelligent.
I said musicals. That's what I said. Shit.
On the Waterfront is a classic.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Marlon Brando.
Yeah, damn.
Huh?
Okay.
Give me one.
We're good. Beautiful Mind came out.
I guess I didn't see that.
Beautiful Mind. It starred Russell Crowe. Oh shit! I'm trying to remember. I remember watching this. It's a biographical drama. It's about a graduate student at Princeton University that experiences schizophrenia, and it's like it goes through the, I guess, process of understanding schizophrenia and whatnot. It won Best Film for the Academy Awards, the 74th Academy Awards. There's, Moulin Rouge.
That I do know.
Okay, yeah. That swept a lot of Golden Globe Awards and won 2 Academy Awards.
Okay.
There's that, which is, I've been binging or watching that constantly because that is a great movie.
Okay.
What's one you have?
I have East of Eden.
I've heard of that.
Starring James Dean.
Oh shit! Wow.
That's not the Sausage King.
Well, yeah,
that's not
I know
Jimmy
that.
Dean. That's James Dean.
Yeah.
In case you get them mixed up.
Yeah, just in
era.
case. Yeah. Oh man, what a man. That's a really great movie too.
That's a great movie.
Training Day with Denzel Washington.
That's one of my top movies.
Yeah, that's a really good one.
Still. Yep.
Won Best Actor for the Academy Awards. I'm trying to think of what else. Oh, I mean, this is kind of a bigger one. Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring.
I've read The Hobbit.
Oh, really?
Yeah, a long time ago.
Oh, okay.
It's an old book.
Oh, yeah.
And I've never watched any of the movies associated with it.
I've watched the movies. I am not. I can't do fantasy a whole lot.
Me neither.
But yeah. So that came out.
Okay.
Oh, here's one that's actually a lot of fun. Shrek.
Shrek?
Yeah.
Oh,
Shrek
nice.
came out in 2001.
You just went and seen that on theater yesterday.
Yeah, Alamogordo Music Theater. Shout out for performing Shrek the Musical, which was really good. But
awesome.
Yeah, so Shrek came out. It won Best Animated Film in 2001, which is really funny because that whole movie is based around just a big FU to Disney. I didn't realize how much of an FU that movie was until oh man, it's so great.
I'm going to shift gears on you a little.
Okay.
Going back to politics.
Okay.
One of your favorite politicians was the vice president when I was born.
Ooh, damn it. Was it JFK?
JFK?
No. I'm just asking.
No.
I'm just asking.
We
Okay.
get one more guess.
Okay. When
You
you
get
were
lunch
president.
if you get it right. You don't get lunch if you don't get it right.
It's okay. I don't eat lunch anyway. Shit, president during 55?
He's saving the peace signs.
Oh my God, Richard Nixon.
Yeah, baby.
Dick Nixon.
Dick.
Oh my
No doubt.
God. One of my favorite politicians.
He's one of your favorites to bring up as an example.
Oh yeah,
Right?
of like a bad president.
Yeah,
and,
like
you know,
loser.
yeah.
I got you.
Oh man,
I
that's.
got you.
I didn't know he was vice president.
Ike and Dick.
Oh man,
Yeah.
what a combo.
Ike was a
man.
great president, man.
Oh yeah, I just couldn't imagine. It's just like imagine presenting that at like a comedy club. It's just
Ike
like,
and
and now
Dick.
we present to you Ike and Dick, and it's just the president and vice president come out.
Oh, and much like we've seen recently on television when they were talking about, Bush and Dick.
Yeah, Bush and Dick.
Cheney, of course.
Yeah. Oh my God. You know. Oh man.
You know, I'm gonna close on my side.
Okay. Yeah.
And in closing, I appreciate young people. I really do. I work with a lot of older people,
Mm-hmm.
and I have the opportunity to work around a few younger people, and no matter what those old people think and say, young people are hungry today. Not all. There's a lot that have their hand out, and we see those every day.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of people out there that are hungry for a piece of the American pie, and that American pie is still there for those that are willing to put their nose to the grindstone and push and work hard, and if you get some breaks, you're in.
Yeah.
So just a thought in our generation gap between the people born in 1955 or around that time and the people born around 2001.
Yeah.
It's sad that youth today really have never felt the type of freedoms I felt as a boy.
Yeah.
You know, as a relatively young boy, because of where our country is today and where our cultures are today. But there's still some of that out there as well.
Yeah,
And,
definitely.
And so long story short, is one era better than the other? I think not.
Yeah, I could say the same. My era was not really great, other than, like I said, we got Moulin Rouge.
So that's all I got in closing, Gus. Have you tossed around any topics for next week? And please don't give me like, yeah, let's talk about European history from 1790 to 1794.
Fuck you. I don't know. I mean, I would say, you know, what's going on right now? I haven't really given a shit. We planned for a Russia
We could talk
episode.
about collusion, but how boring is that?
Oh,
Who
yeah.
hasn't talked about collusion?
Oh, yeah.
Uh-huh.
It's your point. It's your point. I was even about to say, I was like, you know, we talked a lot about communism, and then I was like, well, shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really a good question. I'd say let's toss it around.
Yeah. So
We'll
expect
establish a topic. It'll be a mystery topic for right now.
Yep.
And could be a little fun, could be a little serious. We'll decide.
Yeah, sounds good. So, thank you for tuning in to the Generation Gap podcast. This is entirely based on, you know, just our political, religious, economical, any type of views that we have. Thank you for tuning in to our podcast, and we'll see you on the next episode.
Adios.
God, shit.